Trump administration is trying to keep migrant families in detention longer. The new regulation would do away with the Flores settlement and allow the federal government to keep families and children in custody for more than 20 days. Joining us now is Democratic Senator Jeff Merkeley. He's the author of the new book, America is Better Than This, Trump's War Against Migrant Families. Senator, great to have you here.
Good to be with you.
So we're expecting this announcement today about the Flores settlement. That is what this administration has talked so much about, because that's why they say, that's one of the reasons, along with deterrence, that they claim they had to separate families. If you do away with the Flores settlement, children can be kept in detention indefinitely. So what will this change at the border?
That's right. So the goal here is to be able to establish internment camps. That is, lock up children and their parents through the duration of immigration proceedings, which could be many years. This has already been known to be deeply traumatic to children, and it is a terrible, terrible idea. But that's exactly what this strategy would do, is write a regulation that replaces Flores.
Didn't Congress give the Trump administration more money to hire more judges to speed up this whole process?
Yes, they did. Absolutely. But you still have a backlog that is about a 5 or 6 year backlog even then, so more has to be done on that front. But realize this is part of a coordinated strategy. We have an administration that has just recently appealed to a circuit court and lost, arguing they didn't need to provide soap and basic nutrition to children in facilities. You have an administration that has been using a for-profit, no-compete contract to lock up thousands of kids in Homestead, Florida. They have been deliberately sabotaging the placement of children into sponsors' homes, which is where they belong, in schools and playgrounds and parks, homes, not behind barbed wire. So the strategy, all of this flows from if we traumatize children, we will deter immigration. This basic strategy hurt children as a political strategy. It is an evil and dark approach, and it reverberates one moment after another, and we see it again here.
Here's the part that I don't understand. I mean, the detention centers are overrun, they're overcrowded. We've all seen it with our own eyes. The administration has talked about how much of a challenge it is for them. So if you do away with the Flores settlement, then the detention centers get more crowded.
They will be establishing large internment camps all over America.
And what are we to make of that? I mean, what will that change in terms of what's happening at the border and what that means for the U.S.?
Well, realize that the alternative to the internment camps is case management program. This is a program that said immigrant families, as they await adjudication of their asylum treatment, they will be placed under a case management program that will be in close contact with them. They will show up at their hearings. So the Inspector General of the Trump administration, twice they have reported on this and found that 99+% of families show up at their hearings. The administration eliminated this program a year ago, June, because it was working. And what they want is an excuse to lock children up rather than have them in an appropriate setting as we await asylum hearings.
Look, you've been sounding this alarm for at least 14 months. That's, I think, when you first went to the border to see what was happening in these detention centers. That's what prompted you to write this new book. I mean, in it, I think your case is that the Trump administration is deliberately mistreating migrant children, as you just said this morning. But what's your evidence that they're deliberately inflicting pain?
Well, it started right in just 13 days after Trump came into power. One of his administration officials laid out the case. This was the strategy. If you basically separate children from their parents, inflict this disturbance both on the adults and the children, you will discourage immigration. John Kelly came out a month later and said the same thing. A month after that, they launched a pilot program in California. They kept this then more or less quiet until Jeff Sessions' zero tolerance proposal or speech in May of last year. And at that point, it was 6 months out, and he said, we really want to amplify this now publicly as an election strategy. Make it sound tough on crime. Make immigration something to drive a fear factor in American politics. At every stage, they come back to arguing, treat immigrants like this after dehumanizing them, and use it as a political strategy to deter immigration and also accentuate support on the Republican Party.
On the side of the Trump administration, I think what they would say is that they're dealing with an unprecedented crisis. The number of families detained has gone up 290% this fiscal year over the same time frame last year. So what's the solution to keep families from coming here?
Well, realize the total number of refugees coming to the border is actually much lower than it was many years ago. We hit a case of some 200,000 per month in the.
Yes, they're still overwhelmed. I mean, they're still overwhelmed with this current number.
But not now, because those numbers have dropped off dramatically in the last few months. We have thousands of vacancies in small state licensed facilities across the country right now. There's absolutely no excuse here. And the idea that if you're going to solve this by making it harder to put families with sponsors and lock people up, this is World War II Japanese American family detention camp style operation. I have visited these internment camps where now the limit is 20 days. They want to be able to hold people indefinitely, hold children indefinitely in these camps. By the way, this shows the vast division that Trump has driven between the Democrats and Republicans. 40 Republican senators sponsored a bill to allow indefinite detention of children in internment camps. 40 Democratic senators have sponsored my bill, which is Stop Cruel Treatment of Migrant Children Act. This is a human rights violation that if it was done by any other country, we'd be passing resolutions to tell people to end this. We would be applying sanctions. We would be saying going to the UN Human Rights Council. This is not America to treat children in this fashion. And I wrote this book to try to keep this conversation alive and in the spotlight and have one place people can understand the many dimensions of this challenge and the actions we can take to make sure we treat refugees with respect like we'd want our family members to be treated if they came here.
The book again is America is Better Than This. Everybody can buy it now. And again, you've been sounding this along for a long time. Senator Merkeley, thanks so much.
Thank you so much.